But let's zero in and talk a little bit about the consumption trends, in particularly opportunities when it comes to the herbal tea segment amidst the pandemic, as well as what the significance is of brand building. Joining in, we've got two guests with us. We've got Mr. AK Tyagi, he's the ED at Haldiram Snacks, as well as Mr. Bala Sarda, founder and CEO at Vahdam Tea. And Vahdam India, rather. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for taking time out and joining in. To begin with, Mr. Tyagi, what really began as a very small town enterprise for you is today a global phenomenon. Can you just share with us your mantra and how the company went on to become a household name today?
Good morning to everybody, and good morning to our customer also. Haldiram, his story had begun in 1941 from a very small town located in the Bikaner. Our mantra of the success, definitely we believe customer as a God, and we continuously identify the customer needs. So as a result, we have taken the mantra consistency in the quality, highest standard of hygiene, food safety, and continuous innovations, whether that innovation in the product category or packaging category or marketing category or the many years. In addition to that, we have also focused on the wide distribution of our product throughout the pan India, because when you have the right product, you have the right taste, and you have the right environment to make the product in under most hygienic condition. So then you have to make the availability of the product. So our products are distributed widely pan India, horizontally and vertically. And we kept in the mind that we should deliver our product, highest product, at an affordable price. So according to us, these are our four mantra for this success. Thank you.
Okay, fair enough. Mr. Sarda, you're a fourth generation entrepreneur. Can you summarize, the plan and how the company Vahdam Tea as a brand is faring?
Absolutely. Firstly, good morning to everyone. Hope everybody is having a great Monday. We started Vahdam, 5 years back with a simple vision of taking the finest of Indian teas and herbs and spices and superfoods to the world under a homegrown label. As you know, India grows 25 to 30% of the world's tea production. In fact, India is this magical land of ingredients, including ingredients like turmeric, ashwagandha, tulsi. But unfortunately, what we saw, and I think this is when I sort of, got into the industry early on, we realized that there is no Indian brand which is adding value in India and taking the products global. Number two, when you actually have so many middlemen, and you export it in bulk, and the customers across the world were getting the product months and years after it was harvested in India. And products like teas and spices are consumed best when they are fresh, right? So we saw an opportunity to also deliver a very superior, higher quality product to consumers. And that was the basic premise. We started 5 years back. And it's been a super exciting journey. 90%, in fact, 94, 95% of our revenue even today comes from outside India. But we've also now launched in India this year. And we are just excited to continue to walk on this path, building India's first truly global Indian tea brand.
Fabulous. Bala, let's take that a little further as well. Now, just after a few years of launching, we all know that the brand was among Oprah's favorite things in terms of holiday gifts. Tell us a little bit more about some of the factors that you feel have worked for you, how you've differentiated yourself from competition.
Absolutely. So I think, before I come to the story of Vahdam, right, I would love to talk about, what the opportunity at hand is, right? I think with the onset of internet and e-commerce and social media, and more so digital media channels, right? I think we are seeing a democratization of building consumer brands, and which we are seeing a big wave of D2C digital native brands, even in India now. But I think when I started in 2015, one of the things I identified was the democratization of building global brands also with the onset of internet, right? I think 15 years back, if I would have had to start an Indian tea brand, it would have been a very tough journey, right? Going to say like the United States, setting up base there, opening your first shop, building distributors, and you understand, right? All of this costs a lot of money, right? With absolutely no guarantee of success. I think with internet, I think, we got an opportunity to reach our consumers, in markets outside, which is the US, Europe, very, very targeted manner. And we knew that we had a great product. I think there were two things we wanted to actually work on. One is, of course, distribution, right? Consumer brands are built on distribution. And I think Anurag sir here is, I think Haldiram's is a testament of that. And we knew early on that, distribution is key to whatever we want to do our global aspirations. And number two is also, I think, brand building, right? I think offline media is very expensive as a unit, right? I mean, if you want a paper ad or even a TV ad in markets like the United States and Europe, it's out of bounds for a startup like ours, right? But I think with Facebook, Google, YouTube, these digital channels, right? I mean, the cost of reaching a consumer is the same for a startup as it is for a very, very well organized bigger player like Unilever in America as well, right? And I think that is where we saw opportunity. We built on our strengths, worked on our strengths, launched products in the US, started off with in the US, got some success there. Today, we have over 1 million consumers in the US. We are available in pretty much every channel in the United States, have been one of the fastest growing brands in the category, right? And that's honestly the approach we are now taking in other markets as well, right? Because ultimately, no matter where you go, a third of quality tea comes from India. And our aspirations is to take this Indian brand to as many markets as we can going forward.
Okay, sure. Fair enough. Let me also get you in, Mr. Tyagi, on that. And in terms of, your own brand positioning as well, you've always adapted very quickly, into new categories. How accepting do you feel consumers have been of that? For example, what you did with frozen foods, and what for you have been some of the factors that have led to really being such a trustworthy brand, even as more and more consumers are now adapting to the online buying methods?
Yeah, definitely. We have entered to the frozen food. So it is a very customer need endless it, because previously we were doing the ready to eat food, mainly in the global market. But when we seen the consumer require the better taste, just like a homemade taste. If you see both the technology, ready to eat and frozen food, so in frozen food, we preserve the food with very less heat treatment. But in the ready-to-eat food, the more heat treatment is required. So globally, what we have studied by that the consumer is more conscious on the taste. That is why we have entered to the frozen food. And for entering the frozen food, I think we have entered the frozen food 5-6 years before. It is doing very well. As the e-commerce market is concerned, so currently Haldiram is present in all type of the modern trade and all type of the e-commerce. And e-commerce is doing very well, and we have grown near to 100% after this COVID period in the e-commerce market. And our product is available very strong in the general trade also, very strong in the modern trade, and we are also focusing on the e-commerce also. Thank you.
Right, Mr. Tyagi, because it's such a large market for the food industry, and you're talking about innovating, digital thrust as well. What is the opportunity to grow in the smaller markets as well, to penetrate some of these areas? What's the game plan for Haldiram?
Yeah, definitely. First of all, India is a very wide market. And if you treat India region-wide and geographically wide, so it has the very diverse food taste. For example, some of the products are different in the West India, and some of the products are different in the North India, similarly South India and East India. So to enter for any small market, first we have to see what are the taste preference of the consumer, because ultimately consumer is the king. and also see what product the consumer is required. So in nutshell, what we treat India is equal to many countries. So hence, we have the very specific product with specific taste as per region requirement, and our focus is to market specific. Because some of the product, our product for the South India, some of the product for the North India, some of the product for the West India also. So we have the very strategic plan to focus region specific, and our strategy for the North India will differ the strategy for the Western India, and similarly South India. Thank you.
Okay, fair enough. Bala, with this change that we're seeing really in consumer trends during COVID, is there anything that you're observing by way of change in patterns, demand over the last couple of months that companies within the consumption space now need to adapt to, be more cognizant of as well?
Absolutely. I think, honestly, what we believe is, we are at the tipping point of this fundamental shift in how commerce and, business for consumer brands work. I think internet has been, prevalent for the last 20, 25 years. But I think, the kind of adaptation, consumer adaptation, which has come into this category, this industry, even in India and of course, even in global markets, I think even like a matured market like the United States, I think, we have covered up 10 years of ground in 3 months, 4 months, right after the pandemic and the lockdowns hit, which I think is I think it's a great opportunity, not only for consumer brand like us, but I think, overall for the economy. So yeah, I think the first trend we are seeing is a big change, and I think even post-COVID, I think e-commerce is here to stay. It's a way more convenient channel. I think consumers, even consumers above a certain age who were not buying from us, we have actually seen they also going online and consuming products online, right? And we, of course, given 95% of our revenue even today comes from online channels, I think we have a lot of data which we analyze and, dissect and intersect on a daily basis. So that's number one. Number two, I think, I would say, I think within our category, I think wellness is the big trend, as we all know. And honestly, Vahdam is a brand which has talked about native Indian wellness wisdom from day one. In fact, why we started with tea was, tea is in fact one of the most healthiest beverages you can put inside your body, right? And now, of course, the idea is to, diversify into other categories, all this traditional native Indian wellness wisdom and take it to global markets, take it to now even Indian consumers under a homegrown label, right? And I think within the tea category, I would love to talk about, the growth of the herbal and green tea segment. I think India traditionally has been a black tea drinking market. And when you compare green teas and herbal teas, relatively, they are way more healthier. And I think we have, of course, even in our numbers, even in our data, shown a rapid increase in number of consumers adapting it, their repeat rates, their frequency. Fortunately for us, Vahdam has been, doing this from day one. In fact, we are one of the few brands even in India which is selling 100% pure long leaf certified organic range of green teas, which we truly think is, the healthiest beverage, not because it is in a certain format, but tea which is long leaf is relatively healthier. Secondly, even on the herbal tea segment, right, we were among the first few brands to launch very, very innovative products like turmeric based wellness teas, both in the United States market, in the Europe market, and of course, earlier this year in the India market. And I think the response has been very, very encouraging. But I think this is just a drop in the ocean. And I think there will be a fundamental shift in people, consuming these healthier formats of teas and superfoods. Sure. And we continue to want to innovate in this space.
Right. Mr. Tyagi, wanted to get in your view as well as to what your advice is. There's a lot of budding food enthusiasts, lots of entrepreneurs. They're now looking to pivot, perhaps have moved from another industry into food, and they want to make it big. What is your message to some of these entrepreneurs?
Yeah, we believe that if any brand want to enter the market, so they should focus first on the quality, hygiene, definitely taste with health, because Indian customer is very particular for the taste. They cannot not compromise the taste on the ground of the health. So they should give the added advantage, that is the taste with the health. And hygiene cannot be maintained without the automation. In Haldiram, in the past, over many years, we have done very, very big automation in our industry, that is the minimum human touch. Because after this COVID, the customer will become more cautious for the hygiene. Hence, you have to make the automation, that is the minimum human touch, so that you can deliver to the consumer the most hygienic product. So hence, if any brand want to enter, first there should be automation process to maintain the hygiene. Secondly, there should not be any compromise with the taste, with added advantage of the health. Similarly, consistency in the quality, and they have to innovate over a year to deliver the changing need of the customer. And definitely, you can't leave the wide distribution. You have to make the investment to deliver your product to every corner of or every part of that market. Thank you.
We'll let you go, gentlemen. On that note, it's been a pleasure interacting with you, just to get in a better grasp as to how trends are shaping up within the consumption space, as well as what the companies are doing in order to adapt, pivot, survive, and thrive.